evening. It is September 15th, 2025. Welcome to episode 124 of Porterhouse and Teal Live. And we were just having dinner about 15 minutes ago, and I said to Rebecca, hey, let's go on and do a live.
Yeah. Normally we would have a different activity that was happening. However, as you can tell by my voice, I'm not on the healthier side, so that activity got canceled. We're here with you guys.
Yeah, what's wrong with your voice? You're not on the healthier side? Do you have a terminal disease or something that we need to be concerned about?
I have a cold. It started with a sore throat.
So you've contracted the coronavirus.
Ran a fever.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so.
That's what a cold is. Did you know that?
I do know that.
Okay, so you have a cold? You have a coronavirus?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So how are you feeling?
I'm feeling better today than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
So I'm on the mend.
Still running a fever?
No, actually I'm not. I was 98.6.
Yeah, you've been up a little bit more active today. Yesterday you didn't want to do too much, so.
This is true. I
yeah.
didn't. I was gonna work on the pool a little bit, but I had to ignore it yet another day.
Yeah.
And I was able to get out there and kind of look at it and do a little work on it, and found out that I had some friends hanging out, which I'm going to have to figure out how to get rid of them. Bullfrogs.
Oh yeah, those are really friendly.
Yes, yeah. They are, and they're very difficult because even if you scoop them up with a net, they're strong and they will rip right through the net.
Yeah, they've got game, as they say.
And they do.
Yeah, in the swamplands.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, okay. Well, I decided that we'd pop on tonight because I wanted to let the dust settle from what has taken place this past week with Charlie Kirk and everything. But I did want to, I've been trying to process that quite honestly myself. I would say that it's been pretty upsetting to a lot of people, including myself. In fact, when it happened, and you see that imagery, it's so violent and graphic that, it just makes you sick to your stomach.
And it's hard to get rid of.
Yeah. And then, of course, it's on social media and it's all in the news, and they just keep running loops of him getting shot in the neck and essentially his life ending right before everybody's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very shocking and stirring image, one in which I did not expect to see. I had just finished my run last week. I think this happened, I know it happened on the 10th because it was the day before 9/11. And it happened on the 10th. And, I came back from my run, went out, I don't know what I did, 12 miles or something. I came back and I felt great and sat down on the bed, and I was getting ready to rehydrate and start to eat some things to refuel myself. And I looked down at my phone and had a message from my son, and he had sent me a link to a video. And then I was just about to click on the video when he called on the phone, and he said, hey, did you see that video? And I thought, no. So, he's like, yeah, man, check it out. They just shot Charlie Kirk. And I was like, no way. And so when I clicked on it, of course, it didn't work at first, but then the video loaded. And like I say, when you see something like that, it's pretty upsetting, pretty stirring. And I knew that was going to be very impactful for a lot of people. I'm used to seeing blood being in my line of work. I'm used to seeing people's heads, exploded from suicides or run over on the highway or whatever, right? Used to seeing animals get processed. But I know that there's a lot of people who have never seen anything remotely close to that. And so I knew that it was going to be a significant event for a lot of people. But I really didn't have any idea that it would actually affect me in the way that it did.
Yeah. Well, I also found it to be quite tragic that his wife and his two children were there at the university. So I can't even imagine how she's processing that.
Yeah, it's
And,
difficult.
I mean, obviously she has to go on. She's got 2 kids to take care of.
Yeah. Yeah. So much to the point that I actually didn't sleep that well that evening. I woke up and that was on my mind in the middle of the night. And then I woke up in the morning and I felt as though I hadn't really slept very well because of what was going through my mind throughout the evening, I guess, while I was sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
And ironically enough, my son called me the next day and I was like, yeah, I didn't sleep very good. He's like, yeah, me neither. And I said, it's just like, I just can't get over it, And so it's been one of those things that I wanted to let the dust a little bit settle before I tried to even put together what I just saw. I mean, obviously, I saw a political assassination. I saw somebody get shot. That happens every day in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not like Charlie Kirk's the first person to be murdered. No, people get murdered every day. And I talked about, that hierarchical structure that exists around death, the hierarchy of death. We talked about that in an earlier episode.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas though, if you're somebody who's connected, you're somebody who's famous, you're somebody who's something, you get the notoriety. It's a big deal in the media. But if it's an everyday person,
you hear nothing.
Nothing. You could be a homeless person that gets shot and robbed, and you could be somebody who gets. I mean, it happens every weekend. Every week, almost every day of the week in Chicago, but rarely do you hear about it. Now, of course, Trump has made that somewhat of an issue, but I think in part that's part of his strategy to call out a lot of these Democrat governors and politicians who really are turning a blind eye to it. And whether that's political or not, I give him credit for actually addressing the issue because it's a real issue. People are dying in this country left and right. And so Charlie Kirk is just another one of those unfortunate casualties. But, it's like people aren't used to seeing somebody in real time being executed.
So when I was driving through town, and we have this enormous flag for special occasions that hangs in the middle of our main street, and it was hanging at half-past on 9/11, but Charlie Kirk was so fresh in my mind that I wasn't really thinking about 9/11. I was thinking about him, and then later had heard that Trump had actually requested that flags be flown half-past for Charlie Kirk and the 9/11.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. No, it's a pretty interesting thing, and I think what was disappointing for me is just that this happened at all. That's the thing that hit me like right away. It was just like an initial level of sadness that it actually happened in the first place. Because I'd like to think that this country could at some point come together and to mend any of our divisions, but it's so clear that people are very tribal, and it's easy to manipulate people into specific camps. And unfortunately, the choice that we get politically is a binary choice, one of left or right, Republican or Democrat. And that's the way the people that are kind of pulling the strings behind the scenes like to see it. It's just that, basically a two-party choice. And so it makes it very easy to divide people.
It doesn't have to be. I mean, yes, that's the message that they're putting out there and they're trying, but it doesn't have to be that way. I have friends whose opinions are much different than mine, but they're still my friends. I don't judge them because they have a different thought than I have.
Yeah. Good evening, DHD. Yeah, it was a sad day indeed. Like I say, I think I'm personally, every day since this happened, I'm thinking about it because it's kind of omnipresent in the news and just all over media. And I think the unfortunate part about it is that what's even more sad to me than it happening at all is the reaction of people in this country.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't think we had so many people in this country that would actually celebrate somebody getting executed. And, you know, I think that for those people that are doing that, it's, you know, I don't even really know how to respond to that because, you know, what type of person roots for somebody to be executed, regardless of, you know, if they have committed a crime, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think probably a lot of the people that are celebrating this sort of thing would be against the death penalty because they look at the victim class and say, oh, well, they, you know, they might break a few, you know, eggs that didn't need to be cracked, right? They might execute somebody wrongly, so they may be opposed to that. But when they see somebody who hasn't committed a crime, he just has an opinion that's different from theirs,
Mm-hmm.
they view that as a time to celebrate. And to me, that's the saddest thing of all. And I think that people that do that they should really think about what they're doing.
They should, because I mean, do they want people to celebrate their family member being shot in the neck or in the back of the head or what have you, right in front of all of these people and have everybody, you know, jumping up with joy? I'm sure not.
Well, clearly they wouldn't, but it's just, you know, it's this idea that we've been put into these camps, and that even though we share so many of the same basic human needs and we have so much in common, the people who want to divide have convinced ordinarily what you would consider good people, your neighbors, people that you work with, your coworkers, to have these differing views and then celebrate when somebody gets executed on you know um, live on the internet.
Yeah, I find it to be a sickness for me
Mm-hmm.
because I don't care what your viewpoint is or whatnot. There's no way I would celebrate that type of heinous crime.
Right, right. Yeah.
There's nothing joyous about that.
No, I mean, if something happened to, let's say, you know, Joe Biden or whatever, Nancy Pelosi got shot in the face on TV, or Gavin Newsom, you know, these are people that aren't really celebrated on the right. But I think a lot of the people on the right just couldn't go along with that. They wouldn't be like, you know, and even if they weren't like shedding a tear over it, they probably wouldn't celebrate it publicly. And that's the difference here, is you've got people that are now willing to go out and express their hatred publicly.
Mm-hmm.
And that only, like, I guess, kind of emboldens other people to do the same. Like, oh, hey, there's other weirdos like me that have a particular hatred for the Orange Man, or have a particular hatred toward Elon Musk, or anybody else that has a strong political opinion, to go out and to enact violence. And that's not really the answer here, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, I find that it's an illness. It's almost as though they're just as guilty, kind of, in a way. If you're going to celebrate that, there's a form of guilt for me.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything that you can prosecute, but that, you know, from the standpoint of ethically or morally, I mean, you have to be able to look at those people and understand who they are. You know, I'm grateful for the fact that they are out there saying these things so that they can be identified. You know, if this is truly what my neighbor thinks, if this is truly what somebody thinks, then that's going to tell me a lot that I need to know about that individual. And so I'm grateful for the standpoint of them having the ability to say it so that we know who they are. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that they should withhold that information. Now, if you know, there weren't somebody who liked the guy, that's fine. There's plenty of people you don't like. But yeah, I don't know. I will say this, that I knew that there was going to be people coming out and talking about what we should do, and how this can be prevented in the future. right? Everybody wants answers when something like this happens. The human race is a race of people, a species that like certainty. We don't like things that are unanswered. And so there's going to be a lot of people saying, hey, how do we make this go away? What's the answer? Is it more of this, or is it more of that? Is it more gun control? Is it more of this, or is it more of that? Do you think that there's an answer, Rebecca? Do you think that there's anything that we could do to combat this sort of thing from happening in the future? Because it's continually happened throughout time. So what do you think is the answer? Is there an answer, in your opinion?
I don't know that there is an answer except for we are all human and we have more alike than we have dislike. More in common than we have not in common.
Mm-hmm.
And if people could realize that we're here to help one another, regardless of what your thoughts are. I mean, you should be able to voice your opinion, but you shouldn't be shot for voicing your opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you. But do you think that's a solution that's going to prevent this in the future? I mean, that's
it's not, but I mean, it could. But will it?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I don't think so.
You think stricter gun laws would?
No.
Do you think that an outright gun ban would cause this?
Absolutely not. They make weapons out of all sorts of things. So
right.
No.
Right. Yeah, I'm only bringing that up not to suggest that I'm in favor of something like that happen. I'm vehemently opposed to any further dilution of our Second Amendment, as was Charlie, openly.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing that I guess what has been confirmed in just this whole thing for me, because it confirmed one of my already previously held beliefs. And if you say something, we have the freedom to say it, but there's going to be some repercussion from the things that you say.
Yeah.
And, Charlie was a big advocate of free speech. He, in fact, was wearing a shirt that said freedom. And so he has the freedom, or he had the freedom, to go out there and say things. Now, he should have the right to not be shot over the things that he says, right? That's clearly over the line. But you have to understand, when you say things, you're going to get a reaction from people on the other side. And unfortunately, we have people in our society that are sick and that have issues. And this sort of thing is always going to occur in a society like ours that purports to afford their citizens freedom. This is something that we think that we have here, not without cost, but there's always a cost to free speech. The things that you say are going to be judged accordingly. And go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say that one of the things that we talked about was when he left that roof, supposedly the rifle was wrapped in a towel. And it doesn't look like there was a rifle in that. However, they're talking about a screwdriver. I don't know where the screwdriver fits. Is it something that you can break that down, or?
They're talking about a tremendous amount of things. And that's just what's going to happen. And a portion of why that's going to continue to happen is because there's been a lot of lack of trust in what the government is telling us. Partially, I believe that stems from their inability to come clean on this Epstein thing. By them hiding the list and telling everybody, oh, this doesn't exist, and all of this sort of other stuff, it causes further distrust from those people who already were questioning the truth that they were giving us, the truth.
Mm-hmm.
So there's going to be people with all different types of conspiracies, because the answers that have been provided thus far don't really make a lot of sense. I didn't see a gun with that dude running across the roof either. So, unless something's definitive, and so there's a lot of people talking about all different sorts of things. I guess getting back to my point about freedom is that um, it's not free. When you say certain things, it's going to get a reaction on the other side. And I think that's one of the things that's great about our country is that we have the ability to speak and we have the ability to express ourselves. Now it's going to be judged accordingly again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Possible repercussions from the things that you say. There's people that are now apparently losing their jobs over some of the things that they've said regarding Charlie Kirk. What are your thoughts on that? Given the fact that we have this ability to speak freely in this country.
I guess it depends on. I guess it depends on why it is that they're losing.
I'll tell you, they're losing their job because they've said something that somebody doesn't like about how they have expressed maybe support that Charlie was shot. Right?
Mm-hmm. I know.
So they're cheering for Charlie's death in essence. Somebody comes out and says, "Yeah, this is great," and then they lose their job. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I think it's up to the employer
Mm-hmm.
to, and there are rules that you need to follow when you get employed. So if that is something that's in their bylaws or what have you, then yeah, they have the right to fire you.
Right. Yeah. If you don't represent the values, if the things that you do on or off duty don't represent the values of,
I'm sorry.
If you don't represent the values of that business or that corporation, they absolutely have the right to say, "Hey, you don't fit in with our business model. You need to leave."
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're within state government or federal government employment as a union member in an agency like that, it's going to be harder probably to get rid of you. But there's things that if you do while you're on duty or off duty, it's just unacceptable. You're going to have to be let go. We can't employ you any longer because of the things that you've said or done. And I think that that's completely appropriate. It's just like Bud Light when they came out and said, "Hey, this is what we want to promote," and then people voted with their dollar. They said, "Yeah, we're not going to buy your product." And so there's always a repercussion. But I guess the answer, I don't know. Where does it lie? Are we always going to have this sort of thing? I think that we are.
I would say so as well.
Yeah, so it's unfortunate.
I don't know how you get rid of it. I mean, the human race is not perfect, so.
Right. I think how you do get rid of it, or you certainly put a significant dent in it to where it's not really a thing, is you don't see this in China. You don't see this in North Korea. But so you've got two different ends of the spectrum there, right? You've got this society that we live in where kind of almost everything goes, right? And we're seeing that now in our society. There's so much that's permissive that wasn't permissive 50 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But now things are just, anything goes. You can just sleep on the street. You can just go in the store and steal stuff and walk out and nobody does anything to you. Our society is declining.
Mm-hmm.
Its moral fabric is starting to decay. And there's people within our government that are actually kind of encouraging that lawlessness. And so it's just, I think, going to continue to escalate and get worse over time. But, where's that happy medium? Do we have something that would be in between North Korea and say what we have? Maybe that would stem some of the problems, but I'm not suggesting that we put people in concentration camps and execute 7 generations of their family.
No, but
to get the point across.
If we allowed the police officers to be police officers again, and don't have rules like you can steal up to $950 before they can do anything for you,
right,
then yeah, I think that it would curb some of this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I will say that, for as disappointed as I've been this past week, watching all this kind of play out, I have been encouraged by the number of people that are willing to do and say the right thing. And that lets me know that society isn't completely full of evil people without a soul. But if you're somebody who wants to celebrate somebody being executed live on the internet that didn't do anything wrong,
Mm-hmm.
that wasn't a child rapist, that didn't sexually molest somebody's child as a person put it in a position of trust, like, oh, let's just say maybe somebody on the Epstein list, maybe who's somebody who might own a multi-billion-dollar company or corporation who's being protected by the federal government, right? He was just a guy who was placing his opinion. And so kind of where I go with this, because I do have a conspiratorial mind, is I think, well, who stands to benefit from Charlie Kirk dying? Was this really a rogue actor? Was this really a lone nut who shot this guy? Or is this just another Thomas Crooks or Lee Harvey Oswald that may have been put up to something like this by forces that we don't know the complete story about regarding the CIA? Is that possible? Of course it's plausible.
Yes. Yeah. I believe they said that he was there like a couple hours before the event even started.
Yeah, what's that got to do with anything other than he was
Well,
premeditated?
Don't they usually sweep the, and have people up on roofs?
If it's a presidential Secret Service detail, I don't know what Charlie Kirk's detail does. He had a shit ton of dudes standing around him, but apparently they don't worry about rooftops,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know. I guess my point to this is just because the narrative is that's what we're saying that it is, right? It's this lone shooter, this guy that doesn't have much of a political affiliation. He was some unaffiliated guy, wasn't real political, doesn't have a lot of posts on the internet, this and that, right? He didn't have a big social media profile. Used to be conservative, now he's somehow doing this other weird thing. I mean, it could be a lot of people, man, who have. Is this even the guy, right? These are all questions that could be something else.
Yeah. Yeah. Again, it's a really unfortunate event.
Mm-hmm.
It's unfortunate that people celebrate this happening.
Right.
And I personally only know him of listening to him on podcasts and whatnot, but it has definitely saddened me. It makes me sad. I mean, when I saw that flag, I teared up. So I feel that he actually touched me in a way that maybe I wasn't even completely aware of.
Right. Right. And I think that there's a lot of people that are experiencing that. There's a lot of people who didn't even know who the guy was. You'd have to imagine that a lot of the liberals who had never heard of a Charlie Kirk, and now they're hearing about this guy and they're like, who was him? Who was he? Well, the narrative is that he is somehow a fascist and a racist and a misogynist and all of those things. Now, I will say I don't agree with Charlie on all of his points, but I think he was headed in the right direction on a vast majority of it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's good to discredit somebody else's beliefs, right, and invalidate what they believe. And I think that was the problem that a lot of people had, because one thing that I think is important is just to understand that we don't all see the world through the same eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And we have different lived and life experiences that get us to feel a certain way about certain issues. And so for what Charlie might say, oh, this is the answer, this is what you need to do. Well, for other people, that may not be their answer.
Mhm.
right? And so I will say this: if you haven't seen this yet, I don't know if you've watched the video, but Andrew Callahan, who has Channel 5, and it's a YouTube channel. I've mentioned Andrew before on different things because he's one of the few really good investigative journalists out there. He's a freelance kind of guy, but he's built quite a YouTube following. And he actually sat down for about an hour long, I think, little expose with the last guy to talk to Charlie Kirk.
Yeah. Sorry.
You want to finish those? You want to get that all out?
I don't know if I can.
You want to keep going? You all right?
Maybe.
We need to take a break. You got some water right there. You want to? Yeah.
I think I watched part of it.
Did you? Yeah. And what I was going to say on that is he talked to the guy who was the last person on Earth to talk to Charlie Kirk, because he was the dude that was asking him about transgender issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know anything about this dude. I didn't, whatever. But I kind of wanted to find a reason not to agree with him, or to. And there's things I don't agree with the guy on. He's a leftist, but I thought he had a very reasonable. He was taking very reasonable positions with regard to, hey, there's things about Charlie he respected, although he didn't agree with him, but he wanted to show up there and debate him over these issues.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, it's interesting when you hear somebody like that who believes something completely opposite of what I believe, but yet I can see that individual's a reasonable person who wants to engage in debate rather than throwing, a bunch of bombs at another person. And unfortunately, we see far too much of that on the internet, and that gets other people doing the same thing, and they come at it from an uneducated, uninformed position, and it just makes everything worse. But I would encourage people, if they haven't seen that, it might be worth watching. Mm-hmm. And if you haven't finished watching it, you should watch it. But yeah, I didn't want to like the guy, and I'm not saying that I like him, but I just do respect his approach to that interview.
Yeah, I can't recall if I watched the whole thing or not, but I can agree. At least what I can remember is that he was very rational,
mm-hmm.
and yeah, there were probably things that he said that I didn't necessarily agree with, but he didn't come across as though he was a lunatic.
Right. Yeah, no, that was my impression as well. But anyhow, I don't know if we should talk too much about the whole thing anymore. But I did want to kind of talk about those issues because they've been on my mind, and I think they're worth discussing. Mm-hmm. I think the more that people can talk their differences through, or talk through something so that they have a better understanding of it, the better we'll all be. Because there's a lot of things that I thought I knew that maybe I didn't, know the full detail of, or you learn something new and it changes your perspective. And it's very easy to just dismiss the other side always. And a lot of the people on the other side, particularly those that have dug in their heels regarding certain things that you would look at and say, well, that's just pure evil. Rooting for somebody's execution is, there's something wrong with you. It's not to say that those people are irredeemable, but at the same time, you want to know who they are and have them crawl out from underneath where they were, so that light can shine on them, and we can all kind of, okay, there's that person. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah. It's hard for me to understand that particular reaction, just because I don't have that mind frame of cheering for somebody that got murdered. It just,
Well, what's wrong with you? You'll never make a good extreme leftist. What's wrong with you?
shame on me.
You'd never make it in the Soros organization.
Maybe that's why I don't work for him.
Yeah. Black Lives Matter wouldn't want anything to do with you. Antifa would kick your ass out. Better harden up. You're too compassionate.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, anywho, what's going on around here, Rebecca? What are you doing? Anything good?
Well, we did get the tomatoes taken off the vine and
Yeah.
vines, I should say, and we cut back all of the spillage that was
Oh.
in the walkway. You helped me do that. I appreciated that.
Yeah, you got like a couple bushels out of that deal. You got quite a bit of tomatoes you put up.
Yeah.
Several quarts, right? Probably here, 10 quarts or so, let's say.
There was 9.
Okay.
To
Yeah.
be exact, there were 9 quarts that I got out of that, and there's still green tomatoes on there.
Yeah.
So there's more to come.
As we still continue to get the heat, I think things will continue to mature. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I finally, well, not finally, but today was the day that I planted the last of the garlic. So I've got all my garlic in right on time, September 15th. And I put together, or I'm working on putting together a little, video of that. So if people have any interest in seeing what the progression has been in that little no-till space, I'll be probably putting something out here maybe by this weekend. We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So back to Charlie.
Mm-hmm.
Only in the fact that he died on the 10th.
Mm-hmm.
And I have said in the previous that the 10th is not a good day. We want to just jump right over that day because we've had several family members die on the 10th. Different months, but on the 10th. Ironically,
Something about
he died on the 10th. Yeah, it's just,
yeah,
it's strange.
Well, it looks like we're 5 days past, so we're probably good for another 20 or so days. You need to be worried about it.
Yeah.
Huh. Okay.
God. And even I was looking back through text messages, and I had a family member that had a health problem actually pulled out, but had he not, he would have passed on the 10th as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
He's alive and kicking, so.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's something.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, it's a spooky day. You just want to zip right through it.
Yeah. Also, we got our chicks. I don't know if I mentioned that yet. It had to be. Well, we just got them this week, right? Mm-hmm. So I got 50 chicks, and this was the second batch they sent to us, and they got here in like 2 days. I mean, they got here quick.
Yeah.
From the East Coast, and that's how it's supposed to go. Usually, when we get chicks, they come, and if they're late, they're here in 3 days. But usually, they get here lickety split. Now, I will say that the chicks that we ordered on the 2nd of this month, they still haven't arrived. So
I hope they don't arrive.
So I suspect, because I don't know, I would imagine that the post office just throws them away. But you would think they would give you a follow-up email to tell you, hey, we threw this box away because it was
smelling really bad in our back room.
Well, they had to dispose of it because there's dead chickens in there, dead babies. But nonetheless, we got the new ones in, and we kept 35, and my daughter and her family got 15 of them. And so we're going to be flushing eggs here in this part of the county. It'll be nice.
Mm-hmm.
In about 5 months, they'll start to lay. So that should, what's 5 months from now? What'll that put us around January?
No. What, or September?
Yeah.
February.
Okay, that's good. That's just about right.
Probably the middle or end of February.
Yeah, it might be a little early on them, but they'll be ready to go. As soon as things start heating up, the days get a little longer. So we'll probably be butchering those other old gals, getting them on the way out, and then we'll have a fresh, crop of new birds, but they were very vigorous, and we did not lose any of them. Usually we lose a bird or two, but no losses, which was nice.
Not yet.
No. Mhm. So that's all good. Anything else going on here on the homestead, Rebecca, that you want to speak of?
They are pretty cute. I still haven't pulled the carrots, but I need to get the carrots up out of the ground so I can get those sliced up. So you have those for your smoothie. I think that's probably one of the last boxes out there that needs to come out.
Yeah.
I have been frequently going out and pulling and using those as vegetables in meals, or slicing them up and putting them in our salads. But I do want to get them sliced up and frozen for your smoothies.
Right. Yeah.
So that's still on the agenda.
Yeah.
To get taken care of.
Right. And
I think our squash is probably pretty much done.
Right. Hopefully you'll be getting better soon, so you can get back to your normal activities, because you've been kind of broken for some time with your hands, and now you've got a cold, and it's just one thing after the next with you right now. So hopefully we can get you back on the right track, and like to be able to get out of town. So I don't know if that's going to ever happen, but we need to get you fixed. So where are we at on the status of your hand?
My hand, I am on a new antibiotic, which I've been on. This evening will be a full 24 hours to hopefully see if that makes a quicker progress in taking the inflammation down. So that's kind of where we stand with that. I wear a splint on and off throughout to kind of compress the finger and get it to shrink back down to size. There is, like I say, there is progress being made in the fact that I can bend it more so than what I could. So yeah, I'm just waiting for the antibiotics to see if they actually will kick in and do what they need to do.
Yeah, how are you doing on your fitness goals?
Well, being that I wasn't really supposed to run because of my finger and my hands swell when I run, I haven't gotten much done there. And then I ended up getting this cold. And so I am behind on that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to stay focused, especially when you have things that get in your way, like injury and stuff. But yeah, I'm doing okay on my end, staying up with my running. Got 82 miles in last week, and starting off this week with a bang, and got a new race that I'm signed up for in November. In fact, I got a free race entry, so that's nice.
And that's always nice.
Yeah, saves about $450 because races are getting extremely expensive these days. And you wouldn't think a sport like running, where all you really need is shorts and shoes, would be that expensive, but it's amazing the amount of money that I spend in the sport.
Right, and I think we talked about that before, that if I choose to run a race as well, it's double that expense. And so for me, I don't really have that big of a desire to run the races. It's easier for me to crew you and let you run the races. I could do my running around
I'm completely good with that.
And whatnot. But yeah, just because the price climbed up, it wasn't bad when we started, but now it's ridiculous. Like $400, that's a cheap race.
Yeah, sure is. But anyhow, I think that's about all that I wanted to chat about tonight. I just really wanted to kick those ideas around regarding the whole Charlie Kirk thing. And for me, it's been really big disappointment. I am optimistic that, the good side will win, but I think that there's going to be a lot of issues moving forward.
One of the statements that they made is that it's been 4 days now since he has, 4 or 5 days now since he has passed, and there is no fires, no buildings being damaged, no graffiti happening.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. It's
no riots.
For anybody that's looking at things objectively and fairly, they would be able to say, there's a difference here. How come the side that I align with, that I vote with, is doing all these things, but the other side, all they do is really just speak their mind, and then they go and they assemble, and they do so peacefully. They may say things I disagree with, but that doesn't make them a fascist, or that doesn't make them a Nazi. But it goes back to, I guess, how impressionable people are, and people are very tribal. We want to associate with a particular group of people that shares our ideals, whether that's for good or for evil. People just want to be a part of something, whether it's a club. Oh, I'm in this club, or I'm associated with this group of people over here, and this is what we believe, right? It could be for good, or it could be for not good. But people just want to get in a tribe, and some people they have no problem being in a tribe that is a little bit more less open-minded and a little bit more, I guess, violent. And that's what we're seeing a lot from people on the left. And it's interesting how they don't see it. You would think, man, you seem like a reasonable person, educated or whatever. But the hatred within some people is so deep they can't even see what they're doing or what they're supporting. And I think that's what's interesting to me. They justify, oh, well, that's okay. We can, that's what has to happen.
Yeah, I mean, it truly is unfortunate. Like you said, I don't know how they can't just take a step back and say, you know what, I'm burning down my own town. There's something wrong with that.
Yeah. I don't know. But anyhow, enough on all that doom and gloom. Like I was saying, I think that we're going to come out better than ever. But there's a lot of tension out there right now, and I just hope people can, do the right thing and show up for the side of good, I guess. Right?
I hope so.
Yeah. Well, I think we'll leave it at that tonight, guys. A little short, a little unscripted, but there is definitely a price to be paid for freedom. Freedom is not free, and we got a chance to see a little bit of that here this past week.
Yeah.
On both sides, quite honestly. But anyhow, yeah, I hope to see you guys next week. We have no idea where we're going to be, what we're going to be doing, where we'll pop in. Tonight was, again, a little unscripted, but we hope you have a great week moving forward. Remember that homesteading is not harmful content, despite what those who want to control media might say. And go out and be better than you were today, tomorrow.